Good morning, this is Math Fundamentals for Wednesday, April 15th, and we are on lesson 13.3. And we're going to continue on with the area of certain shapes. And let's look at the area of parallelograms and triangles. So a parallelogram, remember, can be a little bit different. A rectangle is a parallelogram. But it doesn't have to be in the shape of a rectangle or a square. Sometimes we think of a parallelogram something like this shape, okay, where these two lines are parallel to each other and these two lines are parallel to each other. And so when we go to find the area, let's just say we had 3, 2, and 4. This is what you might see on the area of a parallelogram. And I want you to notice a few things. Normally, to find the area, we would just do the length times the width of a square or a rectangle. But in the case of a parallelogram, we cannot do that. Because you see, actually, if we stood this up, we would have something really different. Okay, and this 3 will trick us every time. This is actually called a slant height, but it's not actually the height of the shape. So we have to go with the idea that if we cut this triangle off and we put it over here, what numbers would we actually use? Would we use this number? No, we would actually use this number and this number, which is a 2. Okay, so the area for a parallelogram is actually the base times the height. Okay, so this is really important. Write it down. Okay, we don't want the slant. We want the actual height that makes the perpendicular to the shape. Okay, so in this case, our area would equal 2 times 4, so it'd be 8 units squared. Okay, so we want to be really careful. This is not the height. This is the height. We actually took the triangle off of the end and made a perfect rectangle with it. Okay, so I hope that clears that up for you. So let's go ahead and look on page 375, and they give us a parallelogram, and they tell us that the height is 2 centimeters and that the base is 3.5 centimeters. Okay, so when we go to solve this problem, we're going to be solving 3.5 times 2, the base times the height. Okay, and we should get what? 7 centimeters squared. Make sure that your answer is in centimeters squared. Okay, now let's talk next about a triangle. Okay, so let me draw my I'm going to draw a little picture of a parallelogram so we remember that this is the formula for a parallelogram, and you should have that written down somewhere so that you don't forget it. Okay, now let's look at a triangle. I'm going to do a simple triangle first. Let's do a right triangle. Okay, let's do this one, 2 and 3. Okay, now when we're trying to find the area of a triangle, we're still trying to think of squares. Do you remember how we went and we cut this triangle off and put it here because we wanted to make a rectangle? Well, if I'm thinking about this one, what do I have to do in order to make a rectangle? Well, I'm going to add on to my triangle just like this. Okay? Now, I want you to see something, that this part of the triangle and this part of the triangle are going to be exactly the same. So if we add on to a triangle and make it into a square or a rectangle, we're actually doubling the triangle. So what this means is is that if I went ahead and found the area of this entire rectangle, I would say 2 times 3 equals 6. 6 square units. Okay? This would be for the entire thing. Well, if this red triangle is half of the rectangle or square that I created, couldn't I just take the 6 and cut it in half? I could say 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So 3 units squared is the measurement or the area of this triangle. Let me do a different triangle for you really quick. So the area of a triangle equals 1/2 the base times the height. Okay, and we'll go through this a little bit more. So now I'm going to give you kind of a wonky triangle so we can see that this will work every time. Now this one's not as easy to make a square or a rectangle out of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up, I'm going to go over like this, and I'm going to make my rectangle. Now, if I look here and I cut it where it's straight down, do you see how these triangles match and these triangles match? So this triangle is still half of the entire rectangle. Now here we have to be really careful again, okay? Because we're actually looking for the height of the triangle. So we wouldn't want to use a number on the slant. We would want to know exactly what the height is. In this case, the height is 2, and the base of the triangle is 5. Okay? So let's put these numbers into our formula. The area will equal 1/2 the base, so times 5, times the height, times 2. So multiplication, it doesn't matter which way we multiply these first. So I'm going to do 2 times 5. So area equals 1/2 times 10. Now I hope that you can see that this is just 10 divided by 2, which equals 5. But if you can't, let's go ahead and work out that fraction. 1/2 times 10, let's put it over 1, which would equal 10 over 2. Now we can see that division problem of 10 over 2. So area equals 5 units squared. Okay? So that's how you find the area of a triangle. So make sure that you have this written down and the area for a parallelogram written down, because you want to make sure you're plugging them into the right one. Okay, so you guys should be good to go. You have your formulas. Start with the exercises, and I would like for you to do numbers 1 through 18.